At the Smart Grove, yes. Nice to meet you.
I got a question.
You wearing a coat and tie just for us?
Yes.
Okay, this is good. We
Are
should
we
start
live?
classing up the joint.
We are live, yes.
Okay, so then are you the alder that's in charge of?
I got a long way to go.
your district then?
Well, we know that there's a barrier that.
Okay, I wasn't sure that was. Okay. Welcome, everybody. We will call to order this meeting of the Middleton Plan Commission for June 23rd, 2026. We'll start with the roll call, please.
Buchholz,
Here.
Bruce,
Here?
Paulson,
Here?
Shaw, Summers. Here. And Chair Haniro is present. I will watch for Alder Schaefer
Oh.
and,
Alder Schaefer has told me 3 times that he is traveling and
Okay.
so will not be present.
got it. I will mark him as absent and excused.
Thank you. And I want to welcome Commissioner Shaw back to the Plan Commission. You are our new Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Commission rep.
Correct.
Okay, great. Welcome. All right, next item is the approval of the minutes of our June 9th, 2026 Plan Commission meeting. Does anybody have any comments, questions, corrections? I have one minor clarification. It indicates that there was a request to revisit native planting requirements. I think it's attributed to me. I just wanted to be clear, either in the minutes or to my fellow commissioners, that I wasn't questioning our requirements so much as suggesting that maybe the applicants need to document how they're fulfilling those requirements to make it easier on staff. You shouldn't have to be the native plant police. So it would be nice to have something, a table or template for them to use so that they can indicate themselves if this is a native or non-native species. That was all. I'm completely 100% in favor of the native planting requirements. So if there are no other corrections, I'll accept those minutes as drafted with that clarification. All right, we're moving on to the first agenda item. It's the certified survey map for the former American Girl campus at Fairway Place and Eagle Drive. And the recommendation from staff is approval of the CSM, subject to resolution of embedded staff comments.
This is Paulson. I'll move to accept the CSM subject to embedded staff comments.
This is Shaw. I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments? Commissioner Paul?
What is the current zoning, and would these 2 new parcels would conform to the existing zoning? Or is it a GDP?
It's it's an SIP. And yes, it would conform.
Anything else? All right. Seeing no other comments or questions, all those in favor of approving the CSM subject to resolution of embedded staff comments signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You guys have it. All right, we're going to skip item 2 for now, just because our staff person is playing double duty. We'll go to item number 3, which is recommendation for determination of need for sidewalk installation along portion of north side of Lisa Lane. And the recommendation is that council approve resolution 2026-24 determining the need for sidewalk installation along the north side of Lisa Lane. Is there a motion?
This is Shaw. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution and recommend the common council and move forward with installing having them install the sidewalks on the north side of Lisa Lane.
Is there a second?
This is Bruce. I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Paulson?
Can staff just, when we determine that there's a need, then that triggers a process kind of
Yes.
different than what's under our purview?
Yes. First of all, I just wanted to quickly introduce our planning intern,
Oh.
summer intern, Michael McPhee, who wrote the staff report for this item. We were slammed last week, so we don't normally have a planning intern write a staff report, but when you have a rock star, he filled in for that. So it determines the need, then at that point, the common council will make that same determination. and adopt the resolution. And then we reach out to the property owners and discuss with them whether they would prefer to hire their own contractor to do the work to meet the city standards, or if they would like to go into the sidewalk replacement program that the city does annually. I think that it might be too late for them to go into the replacement program this year because we have already bid and accepted it. If we were gonna do it, it would probably have to be a change order at this point. I think usually the price is a little bit lower. And under the current policy, the adjacent property owner pays for the cost of installing the sidewalk. I believe the city allows that to be paid over a 3-year period at no interest.
There are holes in the sidewalk on Parmenter where
Yes.
the kind of sidewalk used to be. So, yes. They'd have to jump on that. You've got in your staff report that, the trees that they've got outlined there are a little close to the sidewalk and they would have to relocate those into the lot a bit. That was the concern of mine.
Oh, for the Zimbrick site,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
And we'll discuss that more fully
next
once,
agenda.
Okay.
once staff, once Scott Heacock is back. One question I had is, do we need to or want to specify in the resolution what, I mean, I guess in theory, if it said along the north side of Lisa Lane, that's pretty complete, but since it says along a portion of it, I wonder if we should say from Parmenter Street to 7620 Lisa Lane to specify that this would be in the resolved. Mayor Haniro hereby declares
Yeah.
that there's a need for a sidewalk to be installed along and just replace portion of the north side with, or add north side of Lisa Lane from Parmenter Street to 7620 Lisa Lane. I would suggest that amendment. Actually, I'll move to amend the resolution to add that to the resolved clause.
I'll second the amendment.
All right. Staff, do you see anything about that change that needs further discussion or tweaking? Okay, all those in favor of, or any discussion from the commissioners? Nope. All those in favor of the amendment to add from Parmenter Street to 7620 Lisa Lane to the resolved clause in resolution 2026-24 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Any more discussion on the main motion as amended? If not, all those in favor of recommending that Common Council approve the amended resolution 2026-24, determining the need for sidewalk installation along the north side of Lisa Lane from Parmenter Street to 7620 Lisa Lane, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Do we hold off on number 4 as well, or can we go on with that?
We can go on.
Okay. Moving on to item number 4, conditional use permit for an off-site parking lot for Zimbrick at 3202 Parmenter Street. Staff recommendation is acceptance of the findings of fact and approval of resolution 2026-25 for the conditional use permit. Is there a motion?
This is Paulson. I'll make a motion to accept the findings of fact and recommend and approve resolution 2026-2025 for the conditional use permit.
All right, is there a second?
This is Bruce. I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? I have a process question. The conditional use permit, we approve, correct? It does not need to go to council. Just check. All right, if there's no discussion, all those in favor of accepting the findings of fact and approving resolution 2026-2025, granting the conditional use permit for an off-site parking lot for Zimbrick at 3202 Parmenter Street, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, moving on to the site plan review for an off-site parking lot for Zimbrick at 3202 Parmenter Street. The staff recommendation is showing on the screen. They're recommending approval of the site plan review contingent upon the following 7. Has that increased? Okay, I show 5 on mine, but
Oh.
I must have done something wrong. 7 contingencies. Is there a motion?
This is Shaw. I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Bruce. I'll second that motion.
All right. Any discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to add, I understand that we're not putting curb around the outside of the parking lot. The city engineer was okay with that. I have some concern about the 2 tree islands or landscape islands that they have. Just in terms of protecting the plantings that are there. They're not large areas. And it seems to me that if we want that landscaping to survive, that we need to have some sort of protection around those 2 tree islands.
You're talking about these ones at the end.
These tree lines?
Yeah, right. I don't necessarily think that it has to be a concrete curb. It could be a, you know, a railroad tie or some other, some other mechanism. Suggestion.
Is it a matter of protecting them from cars, or is it a matter of getting groundwater towards the tree roots? Or both?
More for, what I see happening is the snow plows and the cars driving over the edges of them.
I'll probably be, you know, considering who's going to be parking there, be more concerned with the snow plows. But yeah, I'd also be concerned about tree roots and
Yeah.
Mhm. And is that one tree existing? The further, yeah,
I don't think so.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't think it's.
okay.
Feel free to come up. Yeah.
Yes, please speak in the microphone.
And introduce yourself, please.
Hi, good evening. Matt Dunn with Sullivan Design Build here on behalf of Simbrick. Yeah, I can confirm that tree does not currently exist there. And as far as the island's concerned, there's really, I mean, shows to one of them, of which really kind of drains into that retention pond. Or I think it's drawn that way to drain that way.
Okay.
I don't know that snow plowing would center in on those islands to be effective for our customer to remove snow from the lot in the winter months. I imagine it would be pushed out away from the center of the lot. I do appreciate everybody's work on this and the city engineer's response. Do you have any more questions that I can answer? Any of
I
these
guess,
comments?
I guess I would have this is more for staff, a process question. If our site plan requires someone to install landscaping and then the landscaping is killed because of snow plows, do we reinforce that requirement that they have to reinstall it, or it's just once and done, it's installed and it's check the box?
Yeah, so we don't do this often of, checking up to see if they've, planted everything, but there have been a couple instances of where we've noticed pretty egregious plantings have died and,
Mhm.
and we've gone back to require them.
Okay.
It also, came to our attention because they were trying to make some improvements, so as part of that, they came to Plan Commission and we required them to, redo their landscaping. And so it doesn't happen often, but usually it's when we get a complaint or something, we'll check in on that.
So that holds true also for the bioswale, if it turned out that that wasn't enough for the drainage?
Yeah, so the bioswale, they'll have to go through a stormwater management plan, and so that's reviewed by our engineering staff and, they'll inspect it and all of that as well. So once it's built out, we'll be sure that it's inspected and we'll handle the flow of everything that goes in there.
And at least 21 plantings are going to be replaced with native cultivars.
Yeah, per the plan. Our landscape designer has worked with the city forester in making some concessions all native cultivars, but we're trying to avoid any, trees that are fruit bearing or sap yielding. specifically.
For a
Yeah.
used car, for a new car lot, I wonder why.
Yes. So, and it's not so much eliminating them, but it's more like placement of those trees away from the parking lot, maybe kind of like on the northeast area near the sidewalk, not too close.
Mhm.
Yeah, everything, and there's, I would say there's a substantial investment, from our customer in the landscaping itself with the soil, with the bioretention pond and all the plantings. And our landscapers can be held to their warranty of workmanship and the plantings themselves.
Thank you. I wonder, since the landscaping requirement has come up twice in this meeting and we have a lot of people in attendance, would one of the staff like to explain what our requirement is with regard to native plants?
Sure, yeah. So very generally, we require certain landscaping depending on how much impervious surface there is, what is being built, you know, if it's a commercial next to, single family or residential, we require extra, landscaping in between, to like kind of buffer the two uses. And then all of these, there are point requirements that kind of get tabulated, into, they have to reach a certain amount of points in order to fit our city's landscaping requirements. And then at least 75% of those are also required to be native plantings. So, things that we would find in Wisconsin or, northern US area are all, considered in that. We do have a list in our ordinance for what, at least a baseline of what is considered native plantings. And so that way it also helps a lot with stormwater and all of those things as well.
Okay, thank you, Daphne. Okay, are there any further questions, comments, discussion? Okay, then could you bring
Oh, yes.
the contingencies back up? Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the site plan review contingent upon these 7 contingencies showing on the screen. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? You guys have it. All right,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, moving on to item number 6, site plan review for multifamily residential development at 6333 University Avenue. We have some public comment slips, so at the chair's discretion, I'm going to allow public comments tonight because I was unable to attend. Thank you. The neighborhood meeting. I did not know about it, but as it turns out, I would have been unavailable anyway because I had a wedding to attend. But just for the benefit of the audience, we do need to have a motion and a second to begin discussion. And so then we'll hear from members of the public, and I think the applicant is in the stack. And amendments can be made to the motion as we go along, but this is just to get the process started. So is there, you bring up yes.
This is Paulson. I would move to approve the site plan review with the following 9 contingencies
As shown on the screen.
as shown on the screen and in the staff recommendations.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Shaw. Oh, you go right.
I'll second that.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and we have a second. We will have discussion, but first we're going to go to public comments, and I've tried to spread these out, balance pro and con. So the first one up will be Kevin Hurd. And again, please come to the podium, introduce yourself, and provide your address. The staff will time you for 3 minutes. And Mr. Hurd is speaking, he wishes to speak in opposition. And next up will be Courtney Blake for commenting. All right, Mr. Hurd.
Hi there, my name is Kevin Hurd. I live at 6330 Elmwood Avenue. I've lived there for 70 years. I oppose the project in the current drawings of it, mostly because the building would run concurrent or would run parallel to the back of my property line, 4 stories high. Will completely change the atmosphere of my backyard to a great detriment as far as I'm concerned. I'm concerned that my property values will go down with this. If I try to sell my house, decide I can't live there at this point because of this, I don't know if I'll be able to get as much money for my house. That concerns me. I kind of was under the understanding that planning concepts with apartment buildings were kind of to cluster them in certain places. Seems to me that we've gone down a line here where we're just building buildings along University Avenue. There'll be kind of a canyon coming into Middleton from Madison area. Concerned about turning Middleton into a commuter city where we just have people living here, but there's no increased jobs or amenities for these people that will be living in these particular apartment buildings. Very concerned about traffic pressures. I'm not sure how people will be getting onto University Avenues from this project and the project right across the street. Seems to me that both of them will have times of the day where people are trying to make left-hand turns that will cause a great deal of congestion and maybe dangerous situations. I don't know if there's any kind of green impact with this particular project. I don't know if there's going to be trees planted, any kind of park type areas for these people to spend time other than just in their pavement and in their particular apartments. Concerned about the increased lighting. One of the things I enjoy about my backyard so much is it's dark, and at night I can see stars and such, which I think will go away at that point. Concerned about the cost of mitigation to protect my backyard from being, keep it more private. Assume that's going to cost me a fair amount of money. And I have a couple of questions that I don't know if I can ask questions. I don't know when this zoning designation was changed, how I should have known that. This whole thing just came to my, I first knew about this 10 days ago. Seems to me kind of unfair that we citizens that will be impacted by it don't know about it until the last second to me. Also wonder if TIF is being used to help pay for this project. That would be my taxes paying for something that I don't particularly, that will diminish my property as far as I'm concerned. I talked to the developers last Thursday. I can't help wondering if the building couldn't be changed a little bit where instead of it running along the back sides of 3 or 4 of our yards, it could run along the side where the parking area is now. That would have less impact on me. I mean, I guess that dinging. So
Yes,
I'm up.
That's gentle,
Yep.
gentle hook. Thank you so much, Mr. Hirsch. Okay, so Courtney Blake, you're next, and after that, we'll hear from Douglas Paul.
Hi, my name is Courtney Blake, and I live at 6323 Elmwood Avenue. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. It is incredibly frustrating that we learned of this plan last week, and this is our one opportunity to voice our concerns over a massive development that will impact the well-being of my neighbors, some of whom have lived in their homes for decades. Up until we bought our home, my partner and I rented in apartment buildings for over 15 years. I'm not opposed to apartment buildings in my neighborhood, but I would love to see something that works better for our community. While the current proposal may fit the rules for which the lot is zoned, this plan seems to have only drawbacks for the neighborhood in which it is situated. Over the years, we have enjoyed the wonderful retailers right down the hill, and our friends who live throughout the Meadows neighborhood have as well. I was so disappointed to learn that this plan is not for a mixed-use building, and that our neighborhood will lose successful small businesses. It makes little sense to reduce retail space along the university corridor. During our meeting, we asked about construction timelines, and we were told some businesses had leases until 2031. I'd like to know if the developers plan on buying out those leases to speed up the construction timeline. Our street has a significant amount of bicycle traffic from commuters, hobby cyclists, and neighborhood kids. On a daily basis, I witness speeding vehicles driving on Elmwood as an alternative to University Avenue. I'm extremely concerned that the additional traffic of a 110-unit building will bring. It's quite difficult to turn west onto University from the Midtown Square lot, so I expect many residents may choose to go up to Elmwood for westbound travel. I hope the city is prepared to implement traffic calming measures to help keep our streets safer. Finally, I have privacy concerns for my family and my neighbors. The block of Elmwood we reside on is quiet, full of single-family ranch-style homes, and several families have young children. Because of the size, shape, and the way the building is situated, apartments will be both along University and the backside of my neighbors' lots. During our meeting, we were led to believe that the building would be about double the current height, which was approximated at 20 feet. So give or take 40 feet. And the rear section would be only 3 stories. The site plan indicates that the building will actually be 55 feet, with the rear section appearing to have 2 different heights. So I'd like some clarification on what the actual dimensions will be. Either way, it will block sunlight to existing homes, and residents will be able to see our entire lots and homes from their apartments and balconies. A few of my neighbors expressed that they would feel more comfortable with the building if it was oriented differently to help facilitate more privacy. Thank you for your time. It is my hope that our neighborhood is taken into consideration and adjustments can be made to help keep it safe and comfortable for both current residents and future neighbors.
Thank you, Courtney. Okay, Douglas Paul is next, and then after Douglas, Rose Sign. Oh, okay, sorry. That's all right. It's my bad eyes and failure to wear glasses. All right, I have Matthew Riley. Hasn't indicated for or against, and then Rose, you'll be next.
My name's Matthew Riley. I live at 6310 Lakefield Court. I'm kind of on the south side of that property. So it's going to be kind of like an amphitheater aimed at my property there. I'm kind of most concerned with the vegetation that lines that there. There's a couple big trees right at the corner of my property. So if you go down, it's that corner property there that juts out. Yep. So like right there. No, down south.
Yeah, this one down here, right?
Yep, yeah,
At the
there,
very
right.
bottom.
So there's some big trees there that, and it's kind of, as it's laid out here, this is kind of coming right up to my property line. I've been assured that they're gonna keep that. I just want to kind of make it public here that we're gonna keep that, keep the vegetation. That'll help at least with some privacy for both of us on each side there. And then, yeah, just not knowing about the zoning change either. Seems like that should be something that should be brought up to the people that's gonna affect them. And I didn't know anything about it. It's kind of like too late, so,
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great, thank you so much, Matthew. And Rose, my apologies, come on up. You're next. And after Rose, we'll hear from Kevin Burrow.
Mayor Aniero, Planning Commission members and fellow citizens of Middleton. My name is Rose Syme and I live at 6327 Elmwood Avenue. And my deceased husband and I have paid taxes here for over 55 years. I'm very disturbed and angry over what is happening to our city and to my neighborhood. The number of apartments being built without any input from our community members until the actual agreement has been made by the city planners and the city council is abhorrent. We are finally contacted when things are a virtual reality and there's nothing we can do about it. The newly planned 3- and 4-story apartment complex with 110 units to replace the strip mall at whatever the address is there is the latest atrocity to hit our neighborhood. It will make it seem like we are living in a huge brick wall facing us. It will invade the privacy of my neighbors across the street, especially my friend Kevin Hurd, who has lived all his life there and whose family has paid taxes to the city for 88 years. They were the members who started the golf course and the baseball team, baseball courts and all of those things. I mean, they have a huge history of developing Middleton and what are we going to do to them here now? The apartment will most likely kill 1 and possibly 2 trees right along the edge of Kevin's property. He will no longer be able to enjoy his privacy with all these people looking down on him and will be harassed with increased noises due to cars entering the underground parking right there. That's where the parking lot is right there. And it doesn't look like there's any much of a buffer between the building and his, I guess maybe there is somewhat of a buffer. I don't know how much that is. But in any case, I'm concerned about the noise that he's going to deal with the cars and with the air conditioner kind of things, whatever you call them. And he'll be exposed to additional pollution with all of the vehicles. My suggestion would be to move this section over here along the back side of the apartments to over here parallel to the hardware store and whatever, or the parking lot, however, so that the pool and the green area would be up from the park, from the backyards. On a personal note, this takes away some retail that I frequently use. The retail stores right along there that will be gone, and many, many other people use them too. I'm concerned that it will most likely block my morning view of the sunrise and shield more light from my house and yard. And I'm really concerned about the traffic that will most likely be coming out onto Elmwood rather than going out onto University. I too worry that my tax dollars will be used to help finance this horrible invasion of our peaceful neighborhood, as I'm concerned that TIF monies will have been allocated for this construction. Obviously, I strongly object to this construction as it is currently proposed. How about making this a 2-story building and instead of 3 or 4 and moving one part of the building? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rose. Okay, Kevin Burrow and then Amelia Herbs.
I'm with the development team, so I'd rather that the neighbors have their chance.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Amelia, you'll be next then.
Evening, Mayor Lisa. So I found out about this 48 hours ago. So again, like my neighbors, I feel like kind of being presented as a done deal. You had your chance. No, I didn't. And I did not find out that this was going to be happening until my friend Courtney alerted me through a Facebook kind of post that this was happening. So I live at 6717 Cooper Avenue. I am a Girl Scout leader and I'm a service unit leader, and I have 10 Girl Scouts that live in the Meadows neighborhood area. So I'm extremely concerned about traffic that is going to be coming out of Elmwood, that's going to be coming onto Elmwood, because I have girls who do regular Girl Scout activities, biking, cookie selling, and supporting activities with neighbors, asking for donations for various things. They will be walking this area. They will be biking this area. And I don't want another 100 and some units of traffic coming out onto Elmwood because they can't make it onto University. That's very dangerous. I also, like Rose, object to losing the various retail shops that we have that I patronize. I have family who are quilters and they love the Blue Bar quilts. I've utilized the baby shop and the community pharmacy there. So I don't see the need to lose those kind of businesses. We lost when the, is it the Kirdia apartments went in? Yeah, Careed apartments went in. We lost our only computer repair shop, we lost a sandwich shop, and we lost the only walkable laundromat on this side of Allen Boulevard. So we either have to go all the way around to Allen Boulevard, or we have to go out to Parmenter to the 24-hour wash your car, laundry, dog shop. It's lovely, but it is a drive. I also don't feel like we have a 300 unit apartment building going in right across the street from this. So we need another 120 units on top of the 300 units that's already going there. And then, like Kevin said, we're making a big corridor of apartments. So you're going to come out to Middleton from Madison. Your first impression is just going to be gray walls of apartments. No personality, no walkable spaces, no green spaces. So I don't like what this is doing to our community. Also, I don't know that it's necessary because you've got the Carriott apartments, you've got right behind the Ace Wolf Kubley, you've got the Lakeview Gables apartment down the street on Allen. You've got all of the different behind the former Imperial Gardens. You've got condos, you've got the Windwood apartments, you've got everything around the Marshall Park. Like we already have a huge housing portion right there, which suffers from a lack of retail in that section. So I don't see why we in Meadows neighborhood need to also suffer from this same problem that has been created around Allen. And those are my comments for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amelia. All right, then we have Kevin Burrow and Mike Everly registered in support without speaking and said he is able to answer questions if needed. That's for 2 as well? Yes. Thank you. Okay, Kevin.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Burrow with Northern Bruce Architects, and we have Colin Smith here with JD McCormick Properties, part of the developer. So we have some brief slides to walk through so you can understand our proposal here. This aerial axonometric view shows the site highlighted clearly in the center of the screen. It's the existing retail mall along University Avenue that does butt up against Elmwood Avenue. The building currently sits very, very close to the property line along the western side of the property. So our proposed development is mainly fronted on University Avenue, which does have a return leg against the western side, but just for those 3 lots to the north and not for the portion that angles back toward the south. So you go to the next slide, you can see our site layout here. So again, to highlight, we really do front on University Avenue to provide a better frontage to the street. And then the building does return and come to the south to create that courtyard space, which faces due south, which will have great outdoor amenities for the residents of the apartments. The existing surface parking lot along the south is virtually unchanged. All that pavement currently exists. And it is our intention to try and preserve any of the landscaping along the southern property line wherever possible. It's just going to be pavement replacement and improvements for this new development. The question was asked during the neighborhood meeting if they would rather that we close off that connection to Elmwood, and there was a resounding no. That is an appreciated cut through of the mid block to be able to get between Elmwood and University Avenue. So we are maintaining that as part of this development, then creating a more secure parking lot just north of that, which has access down to our underground parking. So all residents do have access to an underground parking stall, and the surface lot is for visitors and overflow for the residents, and then the parking to the south is more open for general use. So again, the building is predominantly fronted on University. In regards to the height of the building, we are stepping the building back along the western side. You can see the second line along there. Thank you, Daphne. That really highlights that that's a 3-story portion, then does step up to 4 stories. But we are trying to be sensitive to the neighboring properties directly adjacent to this site. And we are trying to create a buffer of over 20 feet to provide for existing vegetation to remain wherever possible, and then the introduction of new vegetation along that lane as well. So the outdoor amenity does include a pool there, as you can see. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So the overall floor plans here show that we do have sufficient underground parking for all residents. It creates a little bit of a plaza deck area on first floor, which then becomes that outdoor amenity space where we're able to do outdoor gatherings, some raised planters, and just a general nice southern and westerly facing space for the residents. And then the apartment building itself is a mixture of studios up through 2-bedroom units. And then on the top floor, which would be the 4th floor, we have the opportunity to do some lofted units for about 12 total units would have a lofted bedroom space within their unit. And then the common area amenity space is fronted with the community room and exercise facilities shown in that salmon color on the screen. You go to the next slide, please. The overall elevations are shown here. Given the topography of the site, there is some exposure of the basement. So the building does present along University, as you can see on the top, and then the western facing side shows how the grade does drop off as you get towards University Avenue, more to the north. It's a mixture of composite siding materials, a strong masonry base, and then we have both lap siding and panel siding shown on the exterior. So you can go through the next couple of slides. All sides of the building have the same architectural detail and character. The lofted elements really create a unique look, and additional daylighting allowed for those units, as you can see on the top of each of the elevations there. You go to the next slide, please. And then the other views, which are basically the northern facing side and then the 2 end caps. But again, trying to maintain that same high level of detail and character on all sides. And we've got some perspective views shown in the next slide. This is a view along University Avenue. So this is as you're coming up University Avenue, what you would see for how the building presents. We do have the opportunity for the residents, for some of the residents that live along that area, to have direct access down to the sidewalk to really help engage the building to the street and to the pedestrian feel. And we do have a common staircase entry, which is on the left-hand side of this image shown here. And the building does return back. And this is a view inside the courtyard area as you're coming around to that parking area, which will then lead you down. And the next slide will show you how you can access down into the underground parking, again, utilizing the topography of the site. And then we will do landscaping around that outdoor plaza area as well. And then Colin can speak to the overall timeline of the project.
So currently we have leases in place for most of the units in that building. The last lease goes through June of 2031. We've been in contact with the commercial tenants about their current leases. We're open to extending through that 2031 timeline, which our last lease is through. With it being later in the season, we may be able to break ground late 2031 or early 2032. We are stepping the building back about 10 feet from its current location. And then one of the topics that had been brought up in the conditions was landscaping. And so I talked with our landscape architects today, just kind of about increased plant points. And so we're gonna utilize, like we have in our previous buildings, a lot of planters along the plaza area. That'll add a lot of greenery to that center area, as well as like the landscaping around the new driveway up to the Elmwood Street. Are there any other questions on this presentation or current leases or anything like that?
I'll go to the commissioners.
Just speaking for some of the comments that were made, did you complete a 4-season shadow study to determine how it would affect the neighboring properties? For the concerns raised about light being blocked in the backyards and.
No, we have not done a shadow study to this point, but we certainly can.
And then I'm not seeing any stormwater, at least not on the plans that are being shown. Our first speaker had commented on the concern of that increasing water to their property being directly behind there.
Yeah,
I don't know that you would want stormwater right between there because we know that that draws in things like mosquitoes, but I would highly encourage much more of a buffer. Thank you for pulling that up, Daphne, along this area with trees and different highly absorbent, both for their privacy as they've already expressed, but also for water control, because that existing parking lot on the south there is obviously already impervious surface, but then adding that butting up right against the backyards and Elmwood Avenue, I think could pose some water runoff concerns, because the existing building, well, at the property line clearly has roof drainage and ways to distribute
Yeah,
water that wouldn't be just right in their backyards.
Do you mind if I answer that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one advantage of doing a new development like this is we are required to meet today's stormwater management standards. So no water will run off our property onto the neighbor's property, and all roof water will now be collected and drained to the inside of the property, and we're doing an underground stormwater management system below the interior parking lot there. So this will be a dramatic improvement to how it now drains off of the roof towards the west and to the north onto the neighbor's properties.
Okay, and there, I'm not looking at a grading plan, but is it safe to assume that along that line that butts up against the residential backyards, that it would be graded?
Yeah, we'll have to collect and maintain any stormwater that would fall in that area to then be directed around into the collection areas.
And on those two properties, there is a retaining wall that's currently in place, so those backyards are actually above the current,
Can you,
the ground level right there.
can you describe on this image where that retaining wall is?
So it's on that corner piece, it's the first two lots closest to
Okay.
the drive, yep, right there.
Okay.
And then we had discussed in the neighborhood meeting about putting in new fencing along those property lines as well.
That's the 6-foot privacy fence listed.
I'm sorry, we don't take questions. I'm sorry. We'll try to ask all the questions that came out of the public comments. Can you show or someone show the trees, the 2 trees that might be threatened?
Bring up the site plan here. So the 2 trees are the ones along this.
Right on the property
western,
line,
yeah.
basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we are, as Colin said, we are pulling the building further away from the property line than the existing building sits right now. So it is our hope that through construction, we should not impact the roots any further than they have been already blocked by the existing building.
Who owns those trees and whose property are they on?
It's right on the property line. We would have to do a final survey just to make sure. It's actually kind of tied between like our property, the homes, and then the Jimmy John's location.
And any idea what condition they're in?
The one on the Jimmy John's
Can you get closer to the mic just for the?
Yes.
for
The
people
one on the
online?
Jimmy John's side has some, there's been a lot of tree branches cut out of that. There was
Yeah.
like an ant issue a couple years ago that he was able to take care of. The one closer to, yep, that one, Did look in pretty good shape. May need to do some trimming to cut back some of the like dead or falling branches. But our goal is to try to keep those.
Okay.
Do you,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
are there any, like on the roof, is it just a roof or do you have any recreational, like a, I don't know, sun deck up there or green space or anything up there on top of the building?
On the very top of the building, no, but on the units that face to the west, they have an opportunity to basically, their balcony is the roof surface that they can step out on, because we have set the building back an additional 10 to 12 feet.
When you were doing the design, you've got the pool and I don't know exactly what you're expecting to happen with the pool, but it just seems like the pool is facing the parking and then more parking and more parking. And if I were living there, it seems like I would like to be a little more secluded if I were using a pool. And it seems like you've got an opportunity to reorient the building with that western leg going over and blocking some of the pool and then giving a little relief to the neighbors. So they wouldn't have a building up against some of them, but rather have a pool, which I think they would appreciate it. And I wouldn't really want a 4-story building, even if it had a setback right up against my lot line. So I understand their concerns. And it just seems like maybe this could have been looked at a little differently. I don't know what the constraints were when you were designing this, of course.
Well, we studied it in various scenarios. Our main focus was to help ensure that the pool would have ample sunlight. We do intend to do extensive landscaping along the southern edge there to provide that buffer. It is elevated above the existing grade as well, because as you can see, the grade is dropping down to get into the basement level. So it'll be elevated above parking. So there's not any direct headlights or anything like that. And there will be landscaping screening as well. So this just proved to be the most efficient layout that we could do for placement of the building and the amenities that we wanted to provide for these residents.
Commissioner Paulson.
So interrupt me anytime you want, because I probably have 17 questions. So as long as we're talking about the pool, do we have a noise or hours of operation ordinance? Because, given it's a proximity to residential properties, would,
Yeah, I believe it's from like, we have a nuisance ordinance generally across the city, and I believe, things like construction and all those things can starting at 7 AM and then ending, for like noise and amplified sound and all of that, ending at I believe 10 PM.
could we? Yeah, I was just seeing whether we needed to put kind of a condition in the plan about the hours. I want to ask more about the step back on the west side. Daphne, can you remind us of what our ordinance says when MUA abuts
Yes.
residential?
Yeah, so for any zoning district, as I kind of mentioned earlier, like a commercial district, abutting right next to a residential district, we only allow up to 3 stories at that setback, and then anything higher than that needs to be stepped back. So kind of what you see on the screen here, they have this further, this building is pushed a little bit further, and that's basically at like a 45-degree angle. So however tall the building is, it has to be, kind of pushed back in that same amount. So if it's 12 feet taller, they have to be 12 feet, kind of pushed
12 feet
in.
back.
Yeah.
Okay. And because this is residential, it's only probably 11 feet taller, so it's.
I believe their floors are 11
Yeah.
each. Yeah. Mhm.
I was just asking that because people are probably wondering why this step back is not deeper on the property. It's because that's that 45-degree angle
Mhm.
in our ordinance. So if we can pull up the site plan.
Mhm.
So this is related to traffic flow. You're removing the existing curb cut on the northwest side, right? So that, from a city's perspective, I think it's good to remove yet another conflict point. But when the traffic impact analysis comes out, do we anticipate that it's going to prohibit left turns onto University Avenue? Because, I mean, that was the concern the neighbors have, is that if it doesn't allow a left turn on University Avenue, then the people will come out Elmwood and go up to the,
Might be
yeah, Maple Street or
yeah.
whatever that street is.
Mhm.
So currently that curb cut doesn't allow for left out. It is just a right in, right out.
The current curb
The
cut,
current one that we're removing.
right,
The one that's staying is the left in, left out.
yeah. Because that island, it doesn't go all the way because it's too close to,
Yeah, you can see
Another-
the island kind of stops where it says University Avenue.
I know you've got 13 or
Yeah,
14 more.
go ahead.
But I'll interrupt since you mentioned the traffic impact analysis. I don't know if the commission recalls long discussion about Parmenter and Lisa Lane. So my question is, we have concerns about the TIA guidelines being written before our complete streets policy. I don't want to see a repeat of that where the consultant does what is asked of them, but doesn't really address pedestrian and bike safety in their recommendations, only looks at car safety. So has the contract been awarded yet for the TIA?
Yes, I believe the scope has already been reviewed by Public Works, and it's been sent off to our consultants. However, they are the same consultants that did the Parmenter
Okay,
Street, TIA, so they're very well aware of,
okay,
you know, the ped bike needs to be, you know, looked at.
all right.
so
Commissioner
relative to
Paulson.
traffic, the cut through on the south side currently exists, but that's not a street, that's just a private drive. But people drive through there anyway, and the owners are okay with it. So relative to what, I think some of us were thinking and some of what the neighbors were thinking, if you took that, I don't even know what to call it, the west end chunk, you know what I'm talking about? The, and flipped it over next to Wolf Kubley and blocked off that access, then you could retain the northwest entrance. Would that negatively impact that cut through on the south side? I'm sure you looked at did you even do a skim, you know what I'm saying? So that the building would start, I don't know how much you'd have to cut off and then put along, where Daphne's moving the finger. And then,
So that right there, we actually have an easement with the Wolf Kubley for that area.
so that's a shared parking lot,
Yes.
shared drive,
Yep.
subject to an easement?
Yep.
Just to clarify, the driveway is shared or the parking lot is shared?
The parking lot, there's an easement between us and the Wolf Kubley owners, the property owners there. For that that pull in, that drive up there, kind of that whole area, it's
Right
like a
there,
split
right, yep.
between the two of us.
So we could not, through site plan review, force you to presumpte someone else's easement.
And then also, I don't know if it's true, I think we've got some plans, but when I
Closer to the
actually-
microphone, just for the online folk.
Sorry about that. When I was actually out there meeting with someone from the city of Middleton a couple months ago, he had told me there is actually a water line that runs right through the two properties as well. I don't know if it's a water line or sewer line, but he said that there's some kind of infrastructure for the city of Middleton bringing off of University up into the Elmwood Drive area. Yeah, right there, that big.
But the new building would still be on top of that though, right?
No.
No.
No,
Oh, okay.
It's, I
It
believe
was in
it's
the
this.
wrong spot.
Oh, okay,
this
okay.
thing.
Now I
Yeah,
see.
yeah. I accidentally dragged it,
Okay.
but it's
yeah,
back.
so that's another thing that runs through that property, that easement area.
And the reason I ask is just, I understand the neighbor's concern about why wasn't the building flipped the other way, and it's both the infrastructure and the easement really makes it, you can't do it.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, you could, it would be,
So.
It'd be a challenge. Go ahead, Ray.
Mr. Burrow, if you could. We're listening, we're hearing some comments from the neighbors regarding reorientation of that. What I'll just call the most western leg. Is there an opportunity for all or a portion of that leg to be reoriented or relocated to the southeast section of the site and still get access to the parking and, maybe the pool becomes, instead of just directly south, it becomes a little bit southwest. It's, southwest oriented,
Sure.
the courtyard would orient more a little southwest. Do you see that as an opportunity at all?
Well, the way the site has been laid out based on existing grades for the southernmost portion, which has been called the cut through, grades are increasing up to Elmwood Avenue. Whereas we need to drop grades down.
This goes up.
Yeah, we need to drop grades down to the underground parking.
Mm-hmm.
So that landscaping buffer that now separates the two parking areas creates that break in the grade plane that we can then drive down into the underground parking. So that's also a reason for this particular configuration to be as efficient as possible.
And the underground parking has to be on that western leg?
Yeah, but it becomes naturally exposed at that point, based on how we can grade down to it. Without doing steep, slopes down to an underground parking.
Can you do an underground parking lot? I guess you need a building to go into. I mean, putting a parking lot over there. What has to be on top of an underground parking lot?
The drive down, preferably nothing. But once you get to the basement level grade, then you pull in and it's just all parking underneath.
You need to have an elevator connect to the residence.
Yeah.
Be a place,
Yeah, there's an elevator in the building.
And the concrete footings that they pour for the parking garage would be then the base of the building.
Yeah.
Relative to the retail question, and again, Daphne, this is our ordinance cannot require, right? Because that was a decision we went over and over again during the comprehensive plan and the rezoning, which is whether to require mid-block, particularly on this zoning district, mixed-use avenue, just because of all the cut in, cut out of traffic access. I think the city's policy was not to require it mid-block just because there's already based on the experience of the city of Madison that has a lot of kind of mid-block first floor commercial empty that was required in the first floor, that it's not really as much as we'd like University Avenue to be kind of a walkable sort of thing, it's really a more drivable arterial road, and so it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, even down, if you go along University into Madison, you can see there is still a lot of empty retail. And it is a little more difficult for retail to survive in, areas where there isn't, and, the reason the strip mall works is because there are still multiple tenants. So if there's just only maybe one tenant in a mid-block, it still is pretty difficult to be viable.
So do we know where those tenants are gonna go? Like you said, you've got leases through 2031, so this isn't gonna start till late 2031, early 2032. Where are those businesses going to go?
Is the 6300, does that have commercial on the first floor?
It does have commercial, yeah. I believe they have either one or two tenant spaces with like a drive-through space just across the street.
And I did look at this cut through and ask the staff, could that be considered a corner, being on a corner, right? Because I didn't realize until reading the staff report that there was a cut through to Elmwood. So I
You
thought-
haven't snuck through there before?
I don't sneak.
Follow rules.
Many of us
No,
have.
but but figuring, it functions as a street. Can we call it a street and say this is not mid-block, it's on a corner, but staff
Oh.
schooled me and said no.
I did just want to note, since it came up in several speakers' comments, and thank you, Commissioner Paulson, for bringing up the rezoning, that many properties along University Avenue and throughout the entire city were rezoned in 2023. That was when I first started on Plan Commission. It was a very detailed, exhaustive effort over the course of 10 months. And I do know that the city made every attempt possible to have public information sessions and make sure people were aware and had opportunities for public comments at that time. Can't catch everybody, but just to answer your questions of when it was rezoned.
Well,
And just for the record, this is not in a tax increment district, or is it?
It is, I believe, in our proposed new districts, it will be in it. However, they have not applied for tax increment
So
financing.
there's not TIF associated with this right now.
No, that's correct.
Well, how does this fit, I guess, into the master plan? Or, I mean, I've heard a lot of talk about redoing University Ave. How does this, because there were a lot of comments about apartments going up all around, how does this fit in with what we're looking to do there?
I would say it's pretty aligned. We have a University Avenue corridor plan, which also kind of impacted how we created our mixed use avenue district as a whole of our zoning districts. And so the way that the building is oriented and having those walk-up units, those were, specifically talked about in the University Avenue plan to just have some, interaction with the street. And then, I believe one of the emails that I had forwarded over to you guys talked about, encouraging more BRT and all of that in Middleton. And so actually having more population density along University Avenue is a strong argument to bringing our BRT and having it, because right now it goes up Allen and then goes to Century. We actually don't have a bus route really along University Avenue right now. And so increasing the density and having more people right on University Avenue would really help our case to bring BRT into Middleton along University specifically.
Just to add on to Daphne's response, the city did extensive public outreach as far as the University Avenue corridor plan as well. That was approved in 2022. And that plan included some design recommendations that directly translated into the MUA zoning classification. So we adopted the plan and we viewed the rezoning effort as the first step in implementing that corridor plan that was approved. We're working on a couple of other steps, one being creation of the TIF district and another being undergrounding of the utilities along University.
Okay. Commissioner Paulson?
Yeah, and then Daphne, in the staff comments, there was some mention of a crosswalk or a crossway at, I forget the name of the street that's just immediately south. Do you remember those comments in the staff report?
Are you talking about, give me a sec, let me pull it up.
Gateway.
Yeah, the one, it's across where 6300 is along
Yeah,
Gateway.
the
Yeah.
staff comments identified a need for a possible something there, and I'm like, but there's already a painted crosswalk, right?
I'm not sure if there's one
Favorable
at
to building a
Gateway.
crossing at Gateway Street. There's a painted crosswalk on the south,
Over by the Wolf Coop.
over by Wolf Kubley.
Yeah, it's over
Yeah, there is
here.
right over there.
Yeah.
And again, what we learned from Parmenter discussion is we wouldn't really think it's safe for kind of a mid-block crosswalk on a high capacity arterial like University Avenue.
Right, and so University Avenue is definitely one that we're probably gonna be looking at more intensely because we do have a lot of these mid-block, or they're at a.
Yeah, they're
they're at a
connects, yeah.
Yeah, but they don't have any signals or anything like that, or even any RFBs. And so that is definitely something that our Public Works Department is going to be working on in the next couple years. I can't say if, this project will trigger anything, but, as part of their traffic impact, they will be required to, if
Mitigate.
it's like the left in, left out, or
Yeah.
right in, right out kind of situations, they will need to be able to address those.
Because you could imagine that with this many units and possibly others, given the corridor plan and the zoning, and then the one across the street, that it might warrant actually a stoplight, an additional stoplight somewhere along the way. So, okay, I think Randy has some,
Go ahead, Commissioner Bruce.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to, offer my support for redevelopment of the site. I think this site it is a neighborhood resource now as a commercial facility, but, its redevelopment really sits, quite well with our long-term comprehensive plan. And I think we should be excited about the ability to provide some additional housing along this corridor where we can use, at least in the future, rapid transit. So I'm very supportive of the use. I hear the comments from the neighbors, and I think they're reasonable comments. I don't know whether they can be addressed or not without really studying it, but I think they are, I think, there's always other options perhaps. When I first looked at the site plan, I was not struck with that concern about the proximity to the western, on the west property line because of the step back, the building step back. And that does, I know, fits with both the University Avenue corridor plan and the zoning. And so I'm not sure that we can even require a change there if it meets our zoning.
Meets the zoning, yeah.
Meets the zoning. I would maybe ask the development developer and the design team maybe to take a look at that and see if there's an option that would help mitigate some of the impact of the building on that site. But I'm not sure what we can do to require it if it in fact meets all our zoning requirements. The couple of comments that I had about the design, one is the length of the building along the University Avenue. We do have a 250-foot limit. If you go back to that site plan for a moment, Daphne, I think in the staff report, you talk about 240 feet, and I think it's what you're tracing along with the cursor. And, my concern is from University Avenue, if you're looking at the building, you actually see that facade, but you also see this facade as it starts to bend back. So it would exceed the 250 feet if you were to look at it all in one plane. I think the fact that it does angle off mitigates that to a big extent, but the design of the building, and how it turns the corner, maybe I thought, maybe we could break that mass up some more so that it didn't appear necessarily to be such a continuous facade around that corner, just to help soften the length of the building. Maybe if you relook at the site plan at all, maybe that gets resolved in, when you make other adjustments, if that's possible. But if it were to stay in this configuration, I would ask that we have an additional condition that we have some adjustments to the elevation to help break the facade up so that it does appear as a 250-foot maximum not sure. I also think that we ought to require, tree protection plan for the trees along the, neighboring properties,
On the west side.
on the west side and even the south side where we've got, the neighbor that's concerned about the pavement. I don't think if the pavement stays basically where it's at, I don't think there's gonna be much impact and much concern there, but I think if we have a tree protection plan that could address what needs to happen there as well. The last comment I would make, and Daphne had put it in her report, is about the stairway exit onto University Avenue having a more significant entry feature, a porch or some other feature. And I think if we can get that to read as a more primary entrance, and include a electronic access and security access, so that people might be walking across the street. You know, there could, in this particular location, we could have some pedestrian traffic just because of the number of housing units right there. And I think rather than make them walk all the way around the building, it would be good to have an access point, a pedestrian access point there.
Can I just clarify? Did those stairway entrances are only to that specific unit? They're not to the common area of the building, or are they?
The one to the south, right where her mouse is, that is a public access, emergency egress stair, which could serve as a public access entry point. It's down at mid-level between the basement and first floor. We could have a opportunity for entry there. The four to the north are directly into private patios.
So there's no common hallway on the first floor
No, there is.
that you could connect to?
Yeah.
Well, this could go, could you get to the first floor plan? Kevin, can you describe how that would work?
Yeah, so just above that two-bedroom unit right there, that is an exit stair, which has a clear path to the corridor inside the building. So if anybody were to be buzzed in at that entry point, they could come into the building and then go get access to the interior of the entire building.
Otherwise, the entrance is by the. Yeah.
Correct,
Mhm.
yeah.
And the corridor design guidelines want the entrances towards the street, right?
So Randy, you're suggesting changing the staff comment. Is there a staff comment on this particular?
There was a staff comment.
Okay.
Daphne, you help us out there?
Yeah, so that's number 7.
Number 7.
Larger porch area for the student.
Yeah, and I think just the only thing I would do is I would just add that the larger porch area and entryway read as a primary entrance.
And do you want to say consistent with the University Avenue?
Yeah, consistent with the
plan?
University Avenue plan and to include, electronic and security access.
Would that need to be ADA as well? Just to,
No, it does not.
okay. What about signage right there to make it look more of like a front entrance? Could we do like a monument sign there to kind of tie that in?
Yeah, you are, allowed to have one monument sign on the property. You could also have, on building signage as well.
Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise the architecture that says this is a stairway is like, oh, no, it's not really. It's just to a private entrance. It's not to the building itself.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good call, Commissioner Bruce.
And the 6 foot, I'm looking at just 0.9, the 6 foot fence, who maintains that over time? I mean, a 6 foot wood fence isn't.
I mean, we've got this on some of our other buildings that'd be on our side. We would do a long lasting, more of like a Trex material fencing. And we would be able to maintain that with our landscaping.
And so you would maintain, obviously, the landscaping would be on your side. I'm thinking about the neighbors where all of a sudden it's just a 6-foot fence and now we're kind of boxed in. Is there, I mean, the point of the 6-foot fence is to offer them privacy. Is there any other more attractive green space option? So that they don't just feel like a giant wall went up behind them?
Are you saying like, put trees?
Like
Yeah, I mean,
arborvitae or
Yeah.
like some bush?
On our side, correct? Or,
Yeah, I'm just thinking that if it was my house and all of a sudden I had all this open space and now I've got a 6-foot wall and then behind that 6-foot wall is a bunch of apartments, might not be the best view. I think I would rather have a row of plants myself. I don't know if that's true for the owners, but was anything else discussed on how to provide, some privacies or, anything? I mean, obviously, if you don't reorient it, I mean, if there has to be a building there, is there anything we can do to soften it, make it more attractive, make it more park-like? That was another question. Are there any green spaces for the people to kind of hang out? If there was, you got 20 feet there, what's happening with that 20 feet between the property and the building? Is that just,
You mean on the west side?
yes,
Yeah, the 20 foot between the fence and the building.
yeah. So I mean, if you put up a fence, now you just have an alleyway.
so the fence came from our neighborhood discussion. I mean, we can put arborvitae's back there, more landscaping back there on our side so that we can maintain them. The fence was brought up from that neighborhood meeting, and that was kind of what we had talked about there.
Yeah, and so part of the landscaping point of, that was point 9, was they are missing quite a bit of landscaping, and part of it is a requirement as part of the buffer yard. We also have a requirement for, I believe it's like a 44-inch picket fence between Mixed Use Avenue and residential. And so they've decided to go with, a 6-foot privacy fence after meeting with some of those neighbors.
Well,
And so that 20 foot is considered a buffer yard.
Yes.
So it's generally not considered something that residents are supposed to be regularly accessing for recreation, right? Because it's gonna be,
Well, it's
it
on.
should be heavily planted.
Yeah, so yeah, they would be required additional plantings in that area. I believe they have some like balcony spaces back there, but nothing on like the actual, people walking around there. I'm not sure if they would have any. I believe because it's also parking, it's like there aren't any first floor patios or anything either. It's like it's kind of like a brick wall back there.
and I don't think the landscaping gets to the 75%, correct?
It does not.
Yeah, so again, in that buffer yard, if there's anything that can be done to soften it, make it more attractive and provide some pollinator habitat. Although it won't be visible because of the fence, but did someone talk about adding tree protection to the contingencies?
Yes.
I thought I did.
Did staff record that?
I can add that as item number 10.
Do we want to specify which 2 trees? That's the. But if you go to develop in 2031 and the tree has died naturally, it's kind of a moot point anyway, right? So, but.
I would suggest that we just request that the tree protection plan address the western property line and the southern property line at the time of construction.
Yeah.
Someone typing that up.
Yes, I have that.
I'm not seeing it.
I can share my screen.
Oh, okay.
And I'll just make a note, when it comes to signage, while you're obviously allowed to have a monument sign, I would caution placement on that, both for vehicle visibility. And we already addressed the traffic concerns, but also pedestrian visibility, just thinking of an apartment in my neighborhood, that monument sign definitely poses visibility issues, so.
And what do we do about the concern for traffic on Elmwood? Should that be in?
That would be they would comment on that in the traffic impact analysis. But to the extent that their development would impose a degradation of service on Elmwood Avenue, it would be required to mitigate that. Is that the right way to say it?
That's correct.
Yeah.
But do you know if they're required to have that connection?
They're not required to have that connection. Typically for every, property, we only allow for one, access point. And so if they want to, that's kind of why they have to go through a traffic impact analysis, is for that additional access point. And it's also kind of changing again from commercial to residential. So that was another, the second access point and the changing of use kind of created that need for the TIA.
But if it was closed off, then there wouldn't be any traffic impact on Elmwood Avenue. It would all be in and out at University.
And a TIA wouldn't be required in that case?
I think our city engineer would still require it
Still
just because
okay.
of that change of use, but
Okay.
And
yeah.
we've got some competing interests here. At least it was stated that the neighborhood wanted that cut through, but they don't want the traffic on Elmwood. So, which is understandable. I get that. And so maybe we'll see what happens with the
With the
TIA, I
TIA.
guess. Can I just, we've got we're coming up on 8:30 now, and we've got a couple other items. Given the time frame that you're talking about in terms of construction and some of the comments that were made, would it be detrimental if we were to, push this off for another meeting for, you to address some of the questions that were brought up this evening?
Yeah, we can do that.
I don't know how other commissioners feel about it, but I don't see the urgency. I absolutely want to support this development. I think it's a great development, but I want to make sure that we've taken the time to think it through.
Then I would make a motion to defer consideration until the next meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have Paulson made a motion
Uh,
to,
Actually, we should first, I'll make a motion to amend the motion by adding condition number 7 and 9 as typed here by staff. Because I don't think we amended the motion did we?
There were changes made to the language in 7, 9, and then 10 is entirely new.
Okay.
okay, I will make a substitute motion. Since you already made a motion and
Good.
had it seconded.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a substitute motion to hold on, I got too many pages. Here we go. To approve the site plan review with the following 10 contingencies, including the ones added during this discussion tonight. So again, this motion is just to codify all the things that we talked about. Okay. So that is the
The amendment is to approve
amendment.
or to, Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how
Well,
to
I
do this.
didn't get a second anyway. So my amendment, my motion is to add or replace the 7 contingencies, 7 original contingencies with the 10. 9 original with 10. Looks like we added more.
We're adding this and talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so these are the new contingencies.
So just that.
just that.
We're approving that these would be just the word. We're adding a few more and then we're gonna.
Changing the word.
And changing, yep. So this motion is to amend the main motion
Mhm.
to incorporate the contingencies that we've discussed.
I'll second that.
All right, so now we have a motion and a second. And this, again, is
There will
just,
be quiz.
it's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
amending the contingencies. Okay. Morrow and Shaw. Okay, all those in favor of amending the contingencies signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Guys have it. Now we go back to the motion by Paulson, seconded by Shaw to defer consideration of this item. Do you want to specify to the next meeting?
To the. No,
Yeah.
let's just say to defer consideration. And then the developer will respond to some of the comments and perhaps even show an alternate site plan that might address some of those concerns.
And hopefully we get some lead time so that neighbors know about it and can plan for it.
Do we know when the TIA might come through?
I'm not sure on that. It usually takes them at least a month to review, and I believe it just went through, Public Works Committee.
The contract.
Yes,
The requ-
the
okay.
scope of services,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and it can take them up to 60 days to do the study.
And I understand that it may be that the applicant comes back with primarily the same site plan, but I think having the opportunity to listen to those comments, see if they can be addressed in some fashion, I think would be helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to defer consideration of this item. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You guys have it. Members, do you wish to take a break or do you want to just charge ahead? Okay. If
Thank you for your
anyone,
time.
thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And thank you to all the residents for sharing your comments. Just appreciate it. Okay. Looking ahead, let's go back to item number 2, for which we have 2 commenters who we would have let you comment anyway, since it's your application. So this is the specific implementation plan for Friston Pumps USA Manufacturing and Office Facility at 3139 Deming Way. And the recommendation from staff is showing on the screen. Recommend approval of the specific implementation plan contingent on the 7 items you see on your screen. Is there a motion?
This is Shaw. I'll make motion to approve contingent upon the 7 items as shown on the staff report.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Summers will second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? To the,
Looks good.
This is probably outside the purview of us, but you've got enhanced asphalt and around the loading dock, but the loading dock itself is 6 inches of concrete, I believe, with a 6-inch base. We require 7 inches in our driveways for cars and trucks to pull over. I would think you would want more, but that's your decision.
I didn't even notice that.
Your asphalt is enhanced and I would be looking for a much bigger base. I don't know concrete that well.
thank you, Commissioner Shaw. It
I've got,
digs deep.
I've got one question for the applicant.
Sure,
In
go ahead,
terms of
Commissioner.
the number of parking spaces that are proposed, there's comments in the staff report that they far exceed our zoning requirements. And if I just did the math, it exceeds, 100% of all your workforce, including the expansion. And I was trying to just want to know how you came up with that, the number of parking stalls.
Yeah, so it probably does exceed the amount that we completely need. At shift change, then there's two groups that are arriving and leaving around the same time. So they need extra space to be able to kind of change places. And there's also accommodations for visitor parking.
Yeah.
But we're open to suggestions for quantities that are
Yeah.
deemed appropriate.
And do we apply newly changed parking requirements with the maximum retroactively to a GDP like this?
I would say typically no, since the GDP did mention, you know, they had parking requirements in their GDP, so we would follow that first.
So if you combine first and second shift, is that about the right number of parking stalls for the combined totals?
It's like 70 in the first shift and 40 in the second shift.
Okay.
It's about 110.
Yeah.
And then there's parking there for future growth.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we're kind of setting up the whole site.
No,
You have to talk into the mic for the
Oh, yeah.
online
sorry,
folks.
Sorry.
Yeah, setting up the whole site for that future expansion too. So, you know, right now we're looking at considering whether we pull that edge back or not.
I was also wondering about access points. There didn't seem to be a lot of doorways outside of, around the dock and around the front.
Yes. These plans are in progress, but there's gonna be like 7 or 8 doors.
Yeah.
In and out of that space.
I don't know much about your operation, but
Yeah.
I know enough other ones where there are need to get out of the building very quickly.
Right,
So I was concerned.
yeah.
I wanted to comment on the architecture. I thought it was very attractive.
Mhm.
But, you know.
And for what it is, it's
For an
very,
architect.
it's very nice.
Fantastic, actually, yeah, quite nice.
What it is.
I wanted to comment on the economic development. We've always been concerned, going back to our comprehensive plan, to preserve industrial space for actual manufacturing, not just for like warehousing or
Mhm.
dance studios or, more retail uses. So this is a nice addition to that business park.
I agree.
We agree, thank you.
I agree. And
And it'll pump up everybody in excitement, no?
Oh,
I
I
knew
we had to get one in there.
never mind. And I do appreciate the staff for flagging not to take down our tree for a driveway. Is that, you're able to move that?
Which tree was that?
This is page, yeah. It's page 47 of the packet. It's
Oh, sure.
C100 is the, there it is.
Oh, yeah, we can make
The
that.
driveway is
We
aimed
can
right at
adjust
the
that.
tree.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. All right, any further discussion, questions, comments?
I forgot to introduce myself.
Oh, go ahead.
For the record, I'm Doug Pal from our Eberly Architects.
And it's
that's Mike
pronounced
Arbor.
Pal?
Pal, yes.
okay.
And that's Mike Eberly. So thanks.
Thank you for your patience as we got through.
No worries.
Really appreciate it.
Where did everybody go?
Okay, all right, so we have a motion by Shaw, seconded by Summers, to recommend approval of the SIP for Friston Pumps USA Manufacturing and Office Facility at 3139 Deming Way with the 7 contingencies showing on the screen. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, moving on. We did item 6. Item 7 has been pulled, correct?
That's correct. They
Oh.
asked it be withdrawn.
Yes. So.
Oh,
need to-
we were
I-
looking forward to debating that one for another hour,
I
but
had-
Yeah, no
I had
kidding.
a page and a half. Page and-
No.
And that brings us to our last agenda item, which is a referral from Public Works Committee. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on the 5-year street improvement plan. And the recommendation is to approve the 5-year street plan. Do we want to get a motion?
this is Paulson. I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the 5-year street improvement plan.
This is Shaw, I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion.
Could someone explain what Alder Myers was referring to in his email to us about the High Road question? Because, I mean, I think for us as a plan commission, we're far less concerned about the cost impact. That's for our overlords in city council and the finance department. But as a matter of priority, since we've incorporated High Road now, annexed it into the city, and it needs to be brought up to urban standards, and we have all this development going along. I couldn't imagine demoting the priority of this improvement just because of its cost. Did that make, I don't even know if I made sense to myself, but,
Can we bring up? Oh, there it is. Okay.
yeah, and my own Alder person has indicated to me that the initial cost estimate was higher than expected.
Oh,
But-
the estimate of probable cost. The
Yeah,
4 million.
like 4 million,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like 2 million more.
And we collected some amount in impact fees from all the development around that, but probably not enough, just given inflation of road costs, but.
Yep. Well, and I asked specifically about special assessments for the properties that aren't part of 3 developments that contributed already. And was told we probably wouldn't ask for any funds, so.
So High Road is planned for 2027 reconstruction. I think what Alder Myers is asking is, given his, I don't want to speak for him, but I think given his knowledge of the priorities, he's asking the Plan Commission not to make any changes involving where the prioritization of High Road is, or make any additional changes to the design of High Road that would impact the costs.
Okay,
Well,
but we have not seen the design,
it
final
was-
design.
It
Have we?
was shared yesterday at the Public Works. and
Okay.
They did incorporate the comments. They actually said that the left turn lanes weren't, there were no warrants for the left turn lanes, which made me wonder why were they ever proposed in the first place?
Oh, okay,
So they had, and they did it, there's an alternative design in case we aren't able to get the secure the property that we need to have wider median where that one property is, because we emphasized that we really wanted to see a continuous sidewalk on that western side of the road. So yeah, I wouldn't have considered changing anything because
Okay.
High Road should have been done this year. It was originally put in the plans so that in 26 it would be redone, and it got bumped just because of circumstances.
and do we know, the timeline of the 2 developments currently being built there should be mostly done by this time? By 2027?
By
By the
20,
time the road is ready to be repaired?
I would say not.
Because then we're running construction trucks along a.
Right, and you could save money by having the construction trucks pulverize the road,
Uh,
which is already being
They're
done.
halfway doing it already.
But I mean, how long are you going to delay? When
Okay.
is the right time?
Yeah, no, I-
Trigger? And I mean,
The housing development, sorry, we were just checking, but I don't think Red Tail Ridge is all phased
Mm.
over the next like 2 or 3 years.
Okay, yeah.
At least, so.
So I don't see.
Yeah,
any
I don't
need
want to delay it then any
change.
longer.
I did
Oh, I
appreciate
think
his
Abby was
comment.
gonna-
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Abby.
My apologies. I heard from Alder Myers and he clarified that specifically if the project were to be moved, it would require significant changes to the 5-year plan because they're always trying to put the puzzle pieces
Yes.
together
Yeah.
to determine what can be
Yes.
done
Yeah.
each
Got it.
year.
He raises a good point about Pheasant Branch Road. I've been really thinking hard about the proposal to make Pheasant Branch Road a complete street. And I checked our policy, and it seems to me that our policy advocates for when streets are redesigned, like High Road is being redesigned. It's in the plan, it's come up. that's when we apply our complete streets policy. To start talking about Pheasant Branch Road when it isn't even showing up in our 5-year street plan seems concerning. We're out of order. So, I mean, not like.
Yeah.
Out of sequence, I should say.
And the road quality of Pheasant Branch is currently not bad at all, so it
No.
wouldn't need to really be resurfaced or replanned for,
Right, nor do we have
nor do we have the money.
well, nor do we have the jurisdiction over the whole roadway. That's why High Road took so long to get on the 5-year plan. It wasn't until the annexation of all the property, except that one, that we were able to go forward with an improvement plan. And we don't have much of the east side of Pheasant
yeah.
Branch. So,
Yeah, we want to be good neighbors. We want to take the high road, right?
oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Number 2.
I would like to see a,
Too easy.
I can't even think of the name of the thing, some kind of guardrail against, along that eastern side, because I know when I walk on the path there,
mhm.
I'm always mindful that someone could be looking at their phone and go off the road and take me out. So, but that's not part of our jurisdiction tonight. So any comments, questions, concerns? Thumbs up to the Public Works folks for improving our Pacer rating.
Yeah.
I'm impressive. Okay, all right, then. All those in favor of approving the 5-year street improvement plan, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. We've reached the end of our agenda and we are adjourned. Oh, you have.
Is that where you put your guesses?
Yeah, we can put it against.